to shape our personalities. And when we become around 12, 13 years old, that's when our personality is being shaped, and we're looking at our mentors. Who are our mentors? Our mentors are our parents, our seniors, our adults. And we look to them to see how they react to others. So prior to that, we're just a group of kids having fun, playing kickball, out in the playground, having fun. And we're all the same. Even though it's obvious that you see there's differences, you really don't pick up on that. You don't, oh, you're Irish, you're Italian, you're Greek, you're white, you're black, you're Spanish. That's a non-factor. It's not involved. It's only till we get about 10, 11, 12, and when we get into middle school, 5th and 6th grade, that's when the personalities, the parents, because now our maturation cerebrally, when we start to think at a higher level, then we start to be, our personalities are really starting to be shaped, and we'll start to pick up the personalities of our parents. So we, as role models and as adults and parents, we have to be very careful of what we do around our children.
You're absolutely right about that. I've seen children on one Sunday, they come to church and they love the pastor and they grab him, they hug him and whatnot. And the next Sunday, the kid don't want me to come near him. So I say, I know what it is. Mom and Dad, that night before service, they must have been talking about the pastor. They talked about me real bad. This kid picked up all this, just like you were saying. Right. So now he sees the pastor in church, and he don't want me to touch him anymore. You know what I mean? So I said, this can't be a children's problem. This has to be somebody infected the mind of this kid.
Absolutely.
Something, and they were, like you said, they were around all this conversation. And listen, I'm telling some of the folk out there, if you want to talk about the pastor, go in the backyard, go in the bathroom, go downstairs, or go somewhere, but don't do it in front of the children. Right. Because when they get to church, they're going to act out everything that you heard. So, folks, I'm just telling you that. Right now, that's why I watch my congregation. I go by the children, and if they act up again, and they don't have an attitude toward the pastor, I look at the parents and say, okay, y'all been talking about me real bad. But you have to remember, and I think this is very good, what we say around our children, even racial things that we say about our children,
everything. Everything.
It makes a big difference.
Even the verbiage, you have to be careful of how you word things.
Yeah.
We should always word things from, even if you have something negative to say, try to choose positive words, because the children, they look at us and they're going to repeat. Literally they can verbatim repeat what you say, or they will take on those characteristics, and that's going to shape their personality and carry on into their life. What we do is, as mentors and as professionals, is to be role models and try to be as positive as we can. I mean, let's be realistic. We're not always happy. We have personal problems and personal issues, but we try to, in front of the parish, in front of our patients and the students, to try to put on a smile, even though we're hurting, we're in pain, or it could be physically or mentally, and try to go about in a positive manner. And that will make the difference, because that reflects on what we do as professionals, what we do as a person, but it reflects on the people who we are addressing.
Well, to answer that, I would just like to say that nobody is born happy. Okay? Happiness is something that you have to find for yourself in your own being, your own lifetime. Like I said, nobody's born unhappy, nobody's born happy.
When they're born, they come out crying.
Well, that's true too, but like I said, well, yes, and I believe I've seen a lot of that. But just to back up what you were saying, Dr. Bryan, again, so happiness is something that you have to find what makes you happy in your life. Okay, and again, well, am I miserable or am I happy? And again, a lot of it then can go back to your faith. Believe me, by reinventing myself in my faith, believe me, I found a lot of happiness from that. I definitely do, because believe me, I had a lot of reason, I had an excellent reason to grow up, to actually, to this day, today actually, I now know why I was unhappy back then. And I explained to Dr. O'Brien, if I may, just take a few minutes for this.
He was giving you therapy, right?
No, believe me, I had more than my share. I had more than enough of therapy. Now I'm giving the therapy back, but actually that's called giving back to your community, and that's what teaching is all about. But I guess it's called forgiveness, and how does one forgive, and how do you learn to forgive, and so forth. And believe me, it's a lot of help and a lot of psychological teaching. But the point I'm trying to get to here, folks, is Bishop Burkett, last summer, my brother died. I know I told you 2 years ago my brother-in-law died, and then I had like 4 or 5 deaths in my family in the last 3 or 4 years. Right, the point I'm trying to get to here is at the funeral, this gentleman came up to me and shook my hand, and he says, "Oh, by the way, you probably don't remember me." Now, I looked at this guy, and believe me, inside of me, I was starting to boil. And because of my knowledge and my professional training and the tools that I now have to handle my own life personally, I remember this guy, believe me. I remember him very, very clear as day. And actually, I'm going to tell you how I do remember him. It happened about 43 years ago. I was a young little boy. I remember standing in the kitchen with my mom. I remember clearly she was at the kitchen sink. And there's a knock on the door. So, of course, I followed my mom out the hallway, and we opened up the door. I remember holding my mom's right hand with my left hand. I remember looking up at this gentleman. The person that came to that said to me, "You probably don't remember me." "Oh, Mrs. Roach, do you mind if I take Eddie across? I want to show him my pigeons." And of course I'm like, "Yeah, Mommy, please, please, please." So takes me out the footpath and across the street, and all of a sudden I'm looking up and I'm saying, "Well, wait a second, this is not his house. Why is he bringing me into this house?" So I went upstairs and went to the back room, and of course I remember my little hands on the pedestal, and I'm up on my toes, and I'm looking out, and I'm looking at the pigeons, and I'm like, "Oh, look at this, yeah." All of a sudden, boom, I get dragged from behind. The next thing I know, this guy's taking my clothes off, taking his clothes off, and he proceeds to rape me. So now when I hear him saying that day, "Oh, you probably don't remember me," my God, I was boiling inside. I mean, I wanted to just, I tell you how I felt. I literally wanted to turn around and pull his pants down, cut his penis off, put it in his mouth, and bury him alive in front of all these people. That's one thing I wanted to do. That's how I kept my composure, because I was able to act it out in my mind mentally, as opposed to 20 years ago, I probably wouldn't be able to do that. I probably went for his throat. But again, learning how to forgive, that's what I was able to do with myself.
We have about 5 more minutes left. I'd like to, let's just address forgiveness from your perspective, and then we'll wrap the show up. I know we have more than 5 minutes worth of material on that, but from your perspective as a bishop, can you just address that issue of forgiveness?
Forgiveness frees you up more so than the other person.
It frees the soul up.
Frees the soul up, and now you can move on. If you hold that and you don't forgive, then you hold yourself down, and also a condemnation. A lot of things come into your life, and you begin to really get disorientated. But once you're able to forgive, which is a tremendous release and a strength, more so than weak. A lot of people, "I'm not going to forgive because that's going to lower me." No, it doesn't. Forgiveness raises you above that person and makes you bigger than that person. And that's it. And then finally, it allows that person to respect you for who you are.
Well, just psychologically, it's like letting the boulder off your shoulder, and you have new life and new energy. Just like
Brother Roach is saying. He feels good now. Now he feels so good about it, he wants to share it.
Exactly.
But before that, he didn't want to share it with anybody.
I want to take this time and thank our dynamic panel here. We had a beautiful show. We'll probably follow up another show. I'd like to thank Bishop Paquette for being here and allowing us to be in his house of God. Remember, stay alive with Church Alive. Call Church Alive if you want to volunteer, make a difference in your community, our community, like we're doing. Please call and volunteer. The greatest gift you can give back to your community is volunteering. God bless.